Okay, these are the subject trees on the east end. Two trees are in very bad shape. The one to the left is completely half dead. The one to the right is salvageable in my opinion. There's some background noise of people working on tile. I'll try to point this in the right direction. So here you can see the bad part of this tree, which is totally salvageable. You can see it's starting to come back. And here you can see how the tree is not very well shaped, and it's extending way over into the parking lot, which makes it difficult to park under when there's lots of critters living in there, such as birds. So look at the cable line, and you can look at where the tree line is from the trunk. It's way off. This portion of the trees would ideally not be so disfigured. Moving on to the really bad side is starting to show. This tree to the left, I believe, is not in great shape, but we'll have to live with it. We'll have to cut that chunk out in the middle and see what happens to grow in between. This tree here is probably going to have to come down. It's going to look totally ridiculous, but nonetheless, I think we do this in parts, and we take out that half that's dead, and we see if anything happens to spring off of the good leader, I call it, and possibly rebalance that side of it. These are living creatures. They have a tendency to overcome their diseases. Now, moving on to these trees, which are in totally different shape, much better condition. And I'm about to show you that the trees are springing back to life. But again, here you can notice that the trees are very oddly shaped, and they hang over into the parking lot. But as you can see, this tree can be trimmed and it'll spring back. This middle tree can be trimmed and it'll spring back, and you'll notice towards the bottom there's lots of new growth coming out already. Hello. This tree's in very bad shape, but as you can see, the bottom leaders are engrossed with new growth. And I believe, for the money at the moment, we should give them a chance to live and spring back. You see all this new growth underneath here. Let's look at all this new growth. New growth. All this new growth here. It's full of new growth. Look at this. You tell me that won't spring up into the dead canopy and refill that area. Look at this limb that's dead from the outside, actually has new growth. Has new growth way up in the end of it. One thing I want to point out that I did not, that a couple weeks ago, I'm almost certain that these trees down here were cleaned of all that new growth. They've definitely been touched. Here you can see our tile contractors spraying dust all over our building and the car down below after they cleaned the car. last week. This is the new tree here. It's doing fine for some reason. I guess its roots weren't deep enough to get affected by the fungus. But here there's, well, on the dead limb, it's dead. Here you can see there is plenty of new growth there. But no, the trees look like they were trimmed a little bit. I'm not certain what the difference was. But here, yeah, we've got half of the tree. Looks like it's dead. But I can take this project in steps and do half the trees. Just cut the dead wood out now that there's a storm potential in the Gulf at this moment. We've got dead limbs all over our trees. So that'll conclude the video survey of the Faircondo carrot wood trees.